This meeting is being recorded.
Okay. So good morning. We're going to get started. I hope you guys are having a great day. Everybody mute. Sorry. Oh my goodness. Okay. If you're not talking, just keep yourself muted. Sorry about that. I had something covering up all the boxes to try to mute. Okay, well, I hope that you guys are having a great day, and you are going to learn a lot today. The beat goes on, and we hope you are still moving strong on and on. Despite our virtual format, we're all here committed to the work that we do. So great to see you all. Just a few housekeeping reminders before our presentation. You can always visit the MACAE website for important updates and information. Check out our monthly membership check-ins as well. Don't forget to join us tonight for our virtual Family Feud event. We surveyed 100 MACAE members and you won't believe the answers. No team, no worries. Just log in and we will guide you. The recordings from today and all the presentation materials will be made available to you. Don't forget to check your email for the link to the sketch validation form if you need sketches. Remember to complete this form at the end of the Institute and submit by Friday, March 25th. Remember that you completed at the end. We encourage you to be on camera so we can create a community of learning, and also to put any questions you have into the chat. Please also stay muted unless you are presenting or asking a question. With that, I would like to introduce Annette Schlaud and Theresa Reed from Lapeer Adult Ed, as well as Elizabeth McVetti and Diana Weingartz from ChoiceOne Bank, with their presentation, Partnering with a Local Bank to Increase Students' Financial Knowledge.
Thank you. Good morning. I am Annette Schlaud, Adult Ed Manager for Lapeer. I know all of us like to help people. That's why we do what we do. Financial literacy is something that our students need. And of course, for that, you need the experts. The ChoiceOne Bank is a community bank and strives to help the community and to be a positive influence. We were already introduced to our presenters, so I won't go over that again. But before we hear about the financial literacy program, I want to share just a little bit about our Compass to Success series. For the past 5 years, we've been holding weekly or bi-weekly events called Compass to Success, where our students are able to learn the things that aren't necessarily covered in the classroom. So it started out as Workforce Wednesday, now it's Compass to Success. It doesn't really matter what you call it. It's the same thing. It's an opportunity for the students to do a FAFSA night, have college visits, work on their resumes. We've had presentations from apprenticeships, and even a career-focused game night, which the students really enjoyed. These evenings also serve as a way for our distance learners to get to know one another and create that cohort that we know is so important. This financial literacy series is part of that Compass to Success series. So Theresa, Liz, and Diana have worked really hard to make this successful. And I think they're excited for the opportunity to share this with you. So I'm going to stop talking and let them tell you all about it. Ladies.
Good morning. I'm up first here. So the question was first, why seek out a partnership? As Annette mentioned, sometimes our students need a boost to become financially savvy. And so when we decided that we'd like to have a Compass event concerning that, I went looking for a partner. Our path to Liz and Diana was based on word of mouth. and we met in a very roundabout way, but in a few minutes, we'll tell you an easier way to find an expert partner. So audience, I'd like to get started by first getting some input from you. We're going to be doing a waterfall chat. I'm going to pose a question. You type the answer into the chat, but don't hit enter or send until I say go. That way we'll get to see everyone's response at once. And I'd like you to think back to your schooling now. Now, I know for some of us that was a long time ago, but take a moment and think back. I'm going to give you a full minute to pull up the chat and type a response. So the question is, did you learn personal finance in high school? And if you did, was there sufficient personal finance curriculum to help you as an adult? Again, wait till I say go. So everybody right now should be putting their answer to the chat question. Did you learn personal finance in high school? You should be entering that into the chat. And ready, set, go. Enter your answer. A long time ago, I see that. A little, yes and no. Again, that's probably a little. Okay, great. It looks like there's a lot of no's. And that's exactly what we've seen in our students as well. The question would be now, why is that the case? Studies show that mandated teaching of personal finance in high school improves the credit scores of young adults and reduces their default rates on loans. However, the requirement is hit or miss in the United States. And the reason for that, well, there are several reasons actually. Many states don't mandate a financial readiness class. It's up to the state, not the federal government, to decide whether to teach this curriculum. Another problem is that when they do have it, they can't agree on what concepts to teach. And also, personal finance questions aren't on the ACT or SAT tests. If it's not on the test, do we really need to teach it? One of our students seemed particularly knowledgeable about finances while we were doing our sessions. And I asked her how that was. She said, I learned just from dealing with things. I got divorced when my kids were little. I had to learn quickly how to support myself and 5 children. So I really listen to things, and I'm always looking for a better deal. If I can save a buck or two, I'm in. I wonder how many students also learned from dealing with things. And some are not as lucky as the student that gave the quote and perhaps don't listen quite as well. Okay, so the teaching of personal finance is so inconsistent. How many students actually receive enough teaching to achieve a reasonable level of financial literacy? A 2016 survey showed that only 31% of young adults aged 18 to 26 believe that their high school education did a good job of teaching them healthy financial habits. And if you think about it, none of our students completed high school, so they probably never had this opportunity to learn this important information, even if it was available at their school.
On a side note, all those students may be learning about financial habits in school. When we are presenting the program, it's coming from a banker who does this on a regular basis. And I think that this kind of gives our students a little bit more of a financially sound education.
Exactly. Learning from an expert is definitely what the students need. Okay, so when we look at how else students can become financially literate, you may suppose that their parents are teaching them about finances. However, if it doesn't grow on trees, is not considered sound advice, then they're not learning from their parents very much. 69% of parents are reluctant to discuss financial matters with their kids. And this one's kind of breathtaking. Parents are nearly as uncomfortable talking to their kids about sex as they are finances. I don't know about you, but in my house, it was the other way around. So if you consider the situation of parents, many don't have time or just don't think about teaching their children financial literacy. Some of them are worried about getting the food on the table, let alone investing. I'm sure your programs are similar to ours. And how many of your students come from families that struggle financially? It's hard to talk about money when you don't have it. Making ends meet is a constant source of stress for a lot of families. Who wants to discuss stressful things anyhow? Students need someone outside their family to discuss money with, and that would be our experts. Considering our students, many have children now, and they're likely to perpetuate this cycle. But luckily, our financial series can put a halt to that. As partners, we wondered how we could improve our students' knowledge of financial planning. Liz and I originally discussed scheduling one Compass event to give our students an overview of different strategies and ways to improve their personal finances. We ended up deciding on a series of 4 sessions, one for each month remaining in the school year. Along the way, Liz invited Diana to join us in our venture. We did decide on 4 sessions, but then what were the sessions going to be about? We started with the basics: why credit's important, obtaining credit, building good credit, and reading a credit report. In addition, Liz and Diana brought in experts to discuss mortgages and to discuss what's needed to plan for retirement. Our adult education students aren't all young, after all, and it's really not too early to start, even for 20-year-olds. Okay, and Liz?
So last year, during the summer, Diana and I got together and we wanted to create more of a curriculum rather than an hour session of like a checking or savings or loans. We wanted it to be more structured. So what we did is we put together an agenda over our free time during the summer. And we decided that we would put the series together. And what's really neat about it is that each session can stand alone but at the same time builds on each one. So every month when we presented a new topic, you would be able to understand because of the weeks before, but it would also not be necessary to have been there. And I think that is what made a lot of this work. Also having a partner, Diana and Theresa, it was very simple for us to work together. And I think what we ended up with was a great curriculum for our students.
I agree with that. The one thing I'll say is that having the sessions stand alone as they do is very important. That's the reason I really love the way it's set up. With work, families, daycare, car trouble, classes, it's not surprising that the students might miss a session or two. We're trying to fill in a gap there that we feel the students have. They're amazing. They really are amazing. And we want them to become as financially savvy as possible in the short time they're with us. That is, most of them are with us a short time, but I'm sure everyone out there has that student or two that doesn't leave very soon. Liz, you want to take that?
Yes. Okay. So what we did is our current plan was to first create an agenda, which on the very first day of the first session we gave to everyone. That way they knew what to expect going forward. The other thing that we did is, it's for encouragement of attending each session, is they had to sign in and they had to bring us their quote homework. And what that was is from the previous month, they had to bring us a question for the type of session that we were discussing that week. And if they did, they got to pick something out of my basket. And it doesn't have to be anything expensive. I bought bags of M&Ms. I had, funky little pens in there from the dollar store, stickers. And it was really cool to see these people signing in and the students going through the little basket, to see what they wanted. The other thing that Diana and I did is that if they attended 3 sessions, we brought them like a cup or a folder, just something to say, hey, you attended 3 classes, good for you. And then we also told them that if they attend at least 5 sessions for the year, they would be put into a drawing for a $35 gift card. And then we bring snacks, we bring food.
And they enjoyed it.
And I think that after a while, we have a set group, and it's become very comfortable. Not to say that it's still not an educational type setting, but there's respect and fun, and I know they're listening.
Definitely. Yeah. So the next section we'll do is going to be about specific sessions. This will be an overview of the curriculum that Diana and Liz developed. Diana, I believe, is going to talk about session 1.
Yeah, so since we don't know what information the students were exposed to, we wanted to start with the basics. Again, keep in mind that a lot of schools didn't teach cursive anymore. They may not have had the financial classes that we all said we didn't get. So many of our young students, first of all, they won't know how to sign a check, and they may not know any financial habits. So we encourage our students to ask questions about their fees when they're opening an account. We also want our students to read and understand the disclosures to avoid any confusion about the account or the regulations. As a banker, I can explain Reg CC and Reg E, but I can also promise that when we are opening an account, we're explaining the features of the account, the cost, if any, to an account, and those disclosures that I mentioned, but it's a lot of information at once. So we encourage students to ask those questions. We offer assistance when we are opening those accounts, and we always give them our contact info. I always suggest that they call anytime. Any question is never too small. It's really important that the students understand that when they go wherever they're going to go to open an account. So we discussed all the things about balancing a checkbook, how to write that check, and it strongly suggested asking as many questions as possible before making a decision on what type of account to open.
There we go. Some of the students didn't know what a check register is. So, you know, that was starting from scratch, although I know a lot of us might not use registers anymore. So in this age of debit cards, do you keep a register? You know, we get to this point with debit cards, it's like, I got to record that as well as the checks. Well, the bankers explained that it's better to keep a register. You record your actual transactions in the register, and when your statement comes or you look online, you can check for accuracy by comparing what you have written against what was recorded by the bank. Our bankers brought hard copies and examples of budgeting as well that month. And we discussed that. Students were able to take copies home to actually use them themselves. And they were also shown some examples on the internet. There's a lot out there. We don't want them to end up spinning like that guy, not knowing what's in their account. Let's see. And the next month, we discussed fraud. Again, we don't want our students to look like this man, very upset and empty pockets. Liz, who does fraud affect?
Fraud affects everyone. There is no one that is safe from fraud. So there's a misconception that gullible people and your elderly are the ones that are the ones that fall for the scams. However, seniors are still at the top of that list, but young people are right behind them. And the reason for that is because they are on their mobile devices 24/7. They are ordering food, they're buying they're just on there all the time, and it is easy for a fraudster to get to them. So fraud is one of the courses or sessions that I like to spend 1 full hour on. There's a scam out there, and it is called the Grandparent Scam. And since many of our students are caregivers to elderly, they need to know what to look for, what to listen for, and what to be aware of. Ask any victim of fraud, it's scary. When your money is gone, it's gone. And unfortunately, there is so much fraud out there that it is very difficult to get any of it back. So what I was talking about with the grandparent scam is, let's say it's very early in the morning or later at night, and you're not at your best, you're tired from the day, or you just woke up, and you get a phone call. Hi, Grandma. Johnny, is that you? Because as a grandparent, you don't want to say, who is this? You don't want your grandchild to not think you don't know who they are. So what you've done is you've given the fraudster a name. Yeah, Grandma, this is Johnny. I am so sorry to call you, but I got into some trouble. I'm in jail and I need bail money. Please don't tell Mom and Dad. You know how they can get. So the fraudster has now pleaded with Grandma to keep a secret, let her know he's in jail and he needs money. Now, what they don't do is they're not going to ask for an exorbitant amount. Most of the grandparent scams that I've seen are usually under $2,000. So they will ask Grandma to go to the bank in the morning, get the money, let's say $1,500, and then go to Western Union and send it to them or to the jail. Well, Grandma, being the great grandma that she is, and I personally am one of those great grandmas, not great grandma, just a great grandma. I would want to help my grandchild. And I know how parents can get, you know, they're going to overreact and they're going to lecture. But there are ways that you can verify this information. And one of the key things would be to ask Johnny a question that only he would know from when they were younger. Because if you ask a more current question, the fraudster could probably have that information because of social media. So a good question to ask would be, Johnny, tell me what the name of your dog was when you were 7. Well, it was Rover. Johnny, you didn't have a dog when you were 7. So now you know that this is fraud. The other things that you can do are to hang up and call Johnny's cell phone, the phone number that you have. More than likely, Johnny's going to answer. Or contact their parents. Is Johnny at home? You know, talk to somebody. Again, once you have given this money out, you're not going to get it back. So just be careful. And this is what I talk about. I talk about all different types of fraud. My passion.
Okay, very good information. The students also share some of the things they've heard about, and It's surprising the things that happen. Definitely good information for all of us. So now I have a question for you. Which should you use for online purchases? A credit card or a debit card? Now, I am going to go with another waterfall chat, and I'd like to know what you think the answer is. I'm curious, do you know which you should actually use when you're making purchases online? You have 1 minute to prepare your answer. Open the chat, type your answer, but don't hit send or enter until I say go.
Sorry, I jumped the gun.
That's all right. That's all right. Okay, close enough. I'm going to say go. So I should see lots of answers in the chat. Oh, you guys are so smart. Good for you. All right. I did not know that. I never, ever use my credit card on online. I'm an Amazon shopper, so that was definitely something I needed to learn about. It's important too to know that you actually should have a credit card. The bankers recommend using the credit card for online purchases because it's easier to dispute a charge for a fraudulent transaction. Your credit card transaction is provisional credit versus a debit card transaction that comes out of your account immediately. Not only did we discuss credit cards, we also discussed when and why to use one. My brother was actually the victim of fraud just in January. And the funny thing is that it was his debit card, not funny actually, his debit card when he accidentally used those numbers instead of his credit card numbers. We also went over credit report, and they explained to us how to read the credit report. One of the students actually subscribes to a credit reporting service, and so she was really up on that, and her input was welcome. You know, that's something that other students need to hear sometimes, that you're not the only one, you know, wondering these things, and the experts aren't the only ones recommending that you do these things. So checking your credit's important. Having at least one credit card in case if you're in need of credit, that helps to bring your credit or build your credit. It seems weird, but that's how it works. A quick tip, you can go to annualcreditreport.com. That provides you with one free credit report from each bureau every year. And there are 3 major bureaus. So we went through all that, and that way the students knew what they could do to help prevent fraud. Okay. Now, I have one more waterfall chat here. Here's our question. Remember, you're going to hold off. Do you walk to work? Do you walk to the store? You walk anywhere that has a purpose? I know a lot of people go for leisurely walks. They enjoy that. The sunshine's great, but actual purposeful walking, Do you go to work, the store, or anywhere with a purpose, just walking? Okay, I'm going to give you a minute. Prepare your answer, open the chat, type it up, but don't hit send or enter till I say go. Okay, let's go ahead with that. I'm going to say go, and let's see what the chat says. I live in the middle of the woods. That's great.
Me too.
Yeah. Okay, so rarely, yeah, that would be me as well. It used to be before COVID, maybe walking around a store, you know, just having fun that way, but that doesn't happen much anymore. So this proves, you know, a lot of us rely on our cars. It proves that we need cars. And in our area, we're very rural. So it's a necessity. I don't know how many of you are familiar with where we're located, but Lapeer ISD is in Lapeer County, and the adult education program is housed at the EdTech Center in Attica. Attica is the middle of the county, literally, but it's also the middle of nowhere. So in our area, if you don't have reliable transportation, you are just out of luck. There's simply no other means of getting around. Some of you have bus service available, and really consider yourself lucky. So owning a car, a reliable one at that, is a major goal for many of our students. Understanding car loans is very important. And we discussed at this session loans, how the interest works on a loan, additional products that are available, that would be gap, disability, and life insurance on the loan. And we're hoping that they will end up as this man in the picture with a pretty new car. Okay, just as owning a car is a goal for most students, so is being a homeowner. The American dream of the white picket fence is still alive, but it's definitely hard to obtain. Liz and Diana discussed mortgages with us and brought in a mortgage loan officer. So knowing that a mortgage loan officer even exists is a financial literacy step for our students. A good percentage of them fall into the low income category too. So knowing there are many programs available for potential homeowners is of vast importance. Okay, Diana, you want to tell us about owning your own business?
Absolutely. I bet you've thought about how nice it would be to be your own boss. Theresa has stated that many of her students one day want to own a business. And I'm not going to say that it's a piece of cake. Unfortunately, it's the exact opposite. Liz and I, both of our husbands, own their own businesses, and it is a lot more work than anybody thinks it will be when they start it. It is many times a 7-day-a-week, never-ending job. What do you do with your business when you want to go on vacation? Who's going to answer your phones? Who's going to take care of your customers? And you never know what's going to happen while you're gone. I can honestly tell you 5 years, 6 years ago, we went on a family vacation. And while we were in Florida, there was a business emergency and we drove straight home so that my husband could take care of his customers. It can be costly when you're owning your own business. People don't think about the equipment you need, the stock you have to purchase in advance before you sell it, paying employees possibly, the taxes as a business owner. They don't think about those things. It sounds great. They're going to go charge $100 an hour to plow snow, or I don't know what else. It sounds great, but that $100 an hour doesn't go very far when you factor all the other things into it. And unfortunately, many people don't realize that until they've already bought the merchandise, the equipment that they have to pay for, and the time that is involved in running a business. We bring in a commercial lender to talk about what's necessary to start and maintain a business. Hearing it from an expert is very different than hearing it from Theresa or even myself. Hearing it from the person that they are going to want a loan from to buy that equipment and what is involved and what we need is definitely enlightening. It definitely takes a lot of hard work and it takes dedication. It's not something that you can do for 6 months and be done. Sometimes you have responsibilities once you start the business, you buy the equipment, you have a loan for that truck and plow. You know, there's a lot of things that go into running a business. And I'm not saying it's all bad either, because it definitely has its benefits. You just have to be willing to give as much as you take.
Yeah, that's really important to have someone that's more knowledgeable than myself, or, you know, family members, Joe next door, that type of thing. The students need that information. Okay, and then session 8 and 9, we're going to pull everything together that we've talked about through the year. Go ahead, Diana. Oh, you're muted.
Oops, there I am. So we plan to put it all together. We're going to talk about saving for retirement. A lot of times life insurance, disability. We have, again, as a community bank, we have an expert who focuses on your retirement, what you want to do when you're done working. When do you want to be done working? And what are your goals when you're done working? Since we had to postpone 1 month for, I'm not sure if it was weather or what happened, but we're kind of putting 2 sessions into one, the saving for retirement, as well as giving out our prizes for the students and celebrating the completion of this financial session. Our financial expert, as we like to call him, he's going to put it into layman's terms, you know, because I promise he is way up here sometimes and I'm still down here. Even at my age and what I do for a living, I didn't start saving when I was 20. So I need to start real low and build up to get up there. My goal is to retire and enjoy my life, but I got to start low. So he'll share with them the ideas and the goals to start here and end up here. The goal is the first important step. Having a savings goal, planning, thinking about your retirement. If you are thinking about it and you're working towards it, you will get there, no matter how small. And that's the goal. That's what he's going to talk about. As these students complete their GEDs and they go on to their careers, hopefully they will continue to grow, their income will continue to grow, and then their retirement will grow as well. So that's kind of the final step in our financial series. We're going to ask the students to complete a survey so that we can know what we're doing well and maybe what we can improve on for next year, because we definitely plan to come back if they'll have us. We really enjoyed it. And we'll give out our prizes for those students who have attended those 5 classes. We're going to give stuff away just for being there. I think we have a lot of students who've been there the entire time. As Liz said earlier, it's really become a give and take during our classes.
Okay, that leads us into the question, what do you and Liz think of the financial series?
Well,
Liz?
I will start. I love it. I enjoy the teaching. I enjoy the camaraderie. You know, the very first night that you're there, you're starting to get to know people. And by the time you've been there a couple sessions, you're becoming friends, you know, and it's become much easier to discuss things. I think they open up a lot more. There have been a couple times where the session's over, and instead of running out of the door, they are asking us more questions.
Yeah.
So I really do enjoy it. I like seeing that light on their face when something clicks. What I would like to see is more students in our class. And I'm hoping with word of mouth and through this session that's going to happen. Diana?
Yep, I agree 100%. I think we have a really good series here. I think, like Theresa and Liz said in the beginning, because each session can stand on its own, and it also builds, that they can take a lot of knowledge with them. And it is disappointing at this time that we have not as many students as I would hope, but I am looking forward to next year, and hopefully we'll have more participation. We'll get to reach more of those students.
I want to add there that we're going to open the sessions to the public. And I think that that will be very helpful. You know, the students enjoy it. Unfortunately, they can't, you know, make it to everyone, but they truly try. It's a very good program. Diana, can you tell us about, or Liz, about the practices that it would be best to use in engaging banks to encourage them to get involved with other programs?
Yep. Just as Theresa promised in the beginning, we're going to tell you how to get a hold of a banking expert. So Theresa has on the slide this link to this URL, and it is a banking link, so it might be a little dry, but I'm going to read some of it for you because it is very important. It does spell it out. The Community CRA stands for the Community Reinvestment Act. It was enacted in 1977, and it requires the Federal Reserve and other banking regulators. So there's more than just the federal regulators, there's also state regulators. It requires those regulators to encourage financial institutions, all kinds of financial institutions, to help meet the credit needs of the communities in which they do business. So including the low to moderate income neighborhoods. So we are a small community bank, and many of our employees donate their time to local charities. We volunteer at those places, and we give back to those communities that we work in. We We usually have programs for low to moderate incomes. So those loans for business starting and loans for cars. We have programs, we have mortgages designed for those low to moderate income families. And each community bank is set up a little bit different, but we would definitely stop in. We would suggest that you stop in to your local branch and talk to the branch manager. They should be able to help you appeal to their bank, CRA, a person or a department, depending on how they're set up. Ask if they have anyone to do a financial series. It's possible they have a program in place already. And if they don't, that CRA person will get you in touch with the person who could do a financial series for you. The important part is to reach out to your local bank and get the question started, the conversation started with the local branch. And every branch, every bank has CRA requirements.
The other thing that I would like to add to that is that whoever you have come in to do your financial series needs to be educating and not trying to sell their bank or their services and products. They are there to do financial education. Occasionally, Diana and I, when we are answering questions, we will say, this is how it's done at our bank, because we don't know how other financial institutions do their procedures. Regulations are all the same across the board for banks, so that wouldn't change, but just make sure that they're there for your students and not for their own agenda.
Uh-oh.
I have messed up here trying to get that link for us. That didn't work out. Let's see. So I guess I need just a moment here. I'm really sorry. Let me see if I can get it back. All right, guys. You see my crazy desktop now.
Well,
Gosh,
while
I'm so
Teresa's
sorry.
doing that, I can tell you that if you don't have enough time, or the person that you have coming in to do your session can't do a full year like Diana and I are doing, you could have them just do 4 basic sessions. And Diana and I gave Theresa an idea of what we considered 4 basic important items. And that would be your savings checking account, you know, writing that check, going over those disclosures. My passion, fraud. Loans, making sure that they know how interest works. The additional products, you know, like the gap and disability. And when we're talking about that, we're not telling them that they have to take it, but when to think about it. You know, it might not work for everybody or in every situation, but we give them enough information so that it can build from a car loan, mortgage, so they have that generic information.
Agree. Liz and I'm sorry, Liz, I'm gonna jump in. I agree.
Go ahead.
The whole goal of this series and sessions is to put the information in their hands, to assist them wherever they go and whatever they choose, but to give them the knowledge so they can make that decision, what's best for them. So
Right.
the savings is important, checking is important. Yep, all of that they can take with them. The 4 sessions is a good beginning point.
Okay, that's great. I am going to, while I'm trying to get this back where it should be, I'm really sorry about this, folks. I am going to tell you what Liz and Diana gave me as ideas for if a person or a school and bank, there we go, can't fit in all of the sessions, because like we said, we had planned 9 of them. And, you know, if you're just starting this, how many sessions or what curriculum do they think would be most important to share? And they said savings and checking accounts, the basics of that. Fraud, because it affects everyone. And loans, how interest works, additional products. If you give them basic loan interest or education, they'll be able to carry that over to other loans, other types of loans. It wouldn't be specific education for that type, but it's an overview. And that's a good thing to have. My thoughts on the financial series are that the students have become more than just a cohort, and that's very important. Schools now more than just finishing up classes. The camaraderie, as Liz mentioned, is meaningful to all of us. Those presenting, myself as the navigator, and to the students. And, you know, our original goal was for them to be more financially literate, and we got there. That was the important goal and accomplishment for this year. Okay, now I was going to ask for any questions you may have. I'll have to send out that link. It did work last night, but I'll make sure and then send it out. Any other questions you may have?
I'd like to ask a question. It's Laura Stout. My question has to do with your decision to open the series to the public, which I understood in the presentation would be just to add people to the group. I just wondered what your thoughts were on how that would either, in a way, extend the camaraderie or dilute it. I just wanted to know your thinking about that.
Personally, I think it would extend it. I'm sure you all realize that being in this type of program that the public sometimes has an inaccurate view of students in adult ed. This is going to expand the community's knowledge of just how great these students are and how hard they're working to better themselves. So I think personally that it will be, it will have a good effect.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I would like to just add one thing, that our sessions are about an hour long. So it's not that you have to have a super long session. I think it's just enough for our information, some questions, and no one loses interest because it's only that hour. So
Right.
if you're thinking that the process is quite long, it's not. Our sessions are about an hour.
And it's long enough. Yep.
Yes.
They don't, you know, well, for one thing, you know, they've got families to get home to as well,
Right.
most of them. One boy, you know, works 12 hours a day and he has to be up working at 4 o'clock. So an hour-long session works very well. Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to put our contact information up there. Annette
Gigi,
Schlaud
did you
is
have a
the
question?
director.
Oh, sorry, go
Oh,
ahead.
okay.
Gigi, did you have a question? I see your hands up.
Sorry, I had to unmute. Yeah, question. Did you guys try like one-on-one coaching? Was that part of it? And how did that work out?
One-on-one was kind of up to the student. We had a couple students that would just put out there whatever question they had, and you know, how it was personally affecting them. And others, you know, they stayed back, talked to the bankers at the end, or a lot of my students text. So, you know, they would text me a question, you know, when they got home or the next day. It's, you know, I wonder about this or that. And I could pose the question to Liz or Diana and get back with them. But yeah, some of them, you know, throw that information right out there. And what do you think?
We also, at the very beginning, gave each of them our business card.
Yep.
And we encouraged them to reach out to us. But like Theresa said, they've been very open. And if they have a question that they didn't want someone to hear, they would bring us aside. But it has been a very wonderful experience. I have enjoyed it immensely.
Me too.
Well, thank you guys. Elizabeth wrote in the chat that they've tried to do this in one session, so she has really appreciated this information today, and I think that they'll try to expand that. I'd like to thank Annette, Theresa, Liz, and Diana all for presenting. We so appreciate you sharing all of this information with us at MACAE. And again, the presentation materials will be made available after the Spring Institute. And thank you all for attending. Next up is the keynote address, and I hear he's funny. So I hope to see you all at 10:15. Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Lizzie.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Bye.